Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. So let me make sure I am up. And let me make sure my sound is intact. And my sound is good at 100. So earlier today, while I was on my way home, I had Facebook up, and I haven't heard Sane Progressive do a video in a while. It's been a while since I've heard her, and I think it's because I'm usually on YouTube and she's usually on Facebook. But I had the opportunity to hear it today in one of her sermons. Let's call it a sermon. When she's doing her thing, and when it's something you agree with, that woman is a force of nature. I love it. Fucking love it. I realize there's this aspect of me that this thing of I've known it for a while. As I'm thinking over what I'm feeling, what I'm experiencing, whatever, I realize I have this thing in me that if I'm listening to like a military speech or a football coach, or even her, like if it's something where you're resonating with, then yeah, you have this thing in your head, this amped up feeling associated with it. Yeah, that woman is a force of nature, man. And look, whatever a person's craft is, like some people play chess extraordinarily well, and when they play chess extraordinarily well, it is a beautiful fucking game. Granted, you have to understand the game, but it takes a level of understanding to understand what they're doing and why. There's a beauty to it. Other things are more elegant. So you may have boxing. I think boxing is elegant, even though it's an elegant balance. All sorts of things. Just a person is doing what they do, regardless of how trivial that thing may come across, and they're doing it extraordinarily well. And there's there's a fucking awesome quality to it, whatever it is. And this runs the gambit. This could be a porn star. This could be a poet. This could be whatever. Doesn't matter what it is. When they're doing it well, it is a fucking thing to behold. I watched her clip earlier today, and I was like, this woman is fucking awesome. I'm just going to show the clip. We can talk about it after. She makes the point, I think, makes a fucking extraordinary point. You've heard me on this no campaign. This thing of, there's always this thing of no. Like, if something isn't representing your interests, just don't participate. Stop adding yourself to that mix. Stop being complacent. Essentially, stop giving any level of energy to something that's fucking you over. And I mean that. I mean it from the standpoint of dealing with the parties themselves. You vote for whatever represents your very specific interests. And not specific, but you know what I mean. What your interests, not this, this person's fucking me over. I'm giving them my vote because I'm terrified of the other guy. That system is fundamentally rigged. That system is rigged. Participating in that system only fucks you over. She is more drastic about this probably than I am, but I gotta be honest, I agree with her. Let's listen to her clip, because I think her clip makes this better than I could ever say it. It's like watch the master do her thing.
Is everybody having their post-Thanksgiving eating hangover? I think I'm having my post-Thanksgiving eating hangover. I think I ate a total of 9 dinners from my mother's. She gave me food to take home, and I think I've had 9 various incarnations of the Thanksgiving meal. It gets more desperate as you go along, and you run out of certain ingredients, and pretty soon you're just putting like stuffing and cranberry sauce and chocolate cream pie like all mixed together in the microwave. I'm not feeling so good. This morning, but I want to have a little chat with everybody out there who is thinking that they're very excited to vote him out in 2018 and 2020. I want to have a little talk with people because the system is gone. It's gone. Hi, Ish. I'm going to wait till this loads in a minute. Having my morning coffee. I'm looking at the feeds, and it's the same thing if you go on Twitter. if you go on Facebook, if you go on any feeds, people are still talking about elections as if they're real. It's adorable. It is. It's adorable. You're so cute. So I want to tell you all today, I have the solution of what we need to do. Everybody wants to know the solution? I will tell you the solution. This right here be the solution. Right here. Okay? I am done. They will not listen to us. Right now, everybody is talking about, let's save net neutrality. Let's go out and save the net neutrality. Are you ready? I'm gonna write a strongly worded letter. I am gonna get I'm going to email. I'm going all out. I'm doing an email. I might even make a phone call. Hello, congressional representative or senator who never has listened to me once, even though I've called you about 9,000 times. Hi, yes, this is Debbie Lou Signan out of Adams, Massachusetts. Yes, I see that you're going to take the internet away from us. That makes me highly unhappy. I just want to express how deeply upset I am that you're taking the last venue for free communications away from the American citizens. And if you could please duly put that under consideration, I would truly appreciate it. What the hell? They don't listen to us. We don't have real elections. You guys are so silly. I don't like Donald Trump. Does he make you upset because he's orange? You don't like the orange and the bad toupee? You like the Obama with the sharply cut jacket? Did you like that? Did you like how he was able to expand every damn thing that Bush did on steroids? And now Trump's doing it so you don't feel safe anymore?
I love that. I fucking love that. Oh man, I love that. I love that. So I've made this point before. She's making it in this kind of stinging indictment. I think I had this video right after Trump took office, and it was like, I was trying to make this point, like, you guys are bitching and moaning and complaining about Trump, and you guys were quiet when Obama was doing the exact same thing. And how on earth can you raise your head and say anything in this? Like I remember when Bush was in office. This is within my political memory. You have people bitching and moaning about Bush, bitching and moaning about his drone program, all this horrible stuff that George Bush did. And then Obama gets in office. Those people shut the fuck up and went away. Those people bashed Republicans, but they shut up about Obama. Meaning when Obama expanding those drone programs, expanding those wars, going into one country after the next, having no constitutional justification to do so at all, they shut the fuck up. They had squat to say. Donald Trump gets back in office, and all of those people, all those chickens who had put their heads down, now come back up and screaming about Trump. I remember the indignity of the Democratic Party screaming about Trump attacking whistleblowers when Obama was using the Espionage Act to go after one person after the next. It's a game. It's a game. It's fun. It's a game. And the game is so fundamentally rigged. Now, at one point, you may make a case that says, well, yes, the United States had a government, and that government was responsible to the people. She's right. I mean, I have a hard case. It's a hard argument to make. That Princeton study showed that what the public wanted with regards to the government was a statistical blip. It was a statistical blip. What did matter was what corporate interests or what plutocratic interests wanted, meaning the oligarchs ruled the day. When that snarling billionaire who was screaming and bitching and moaning because he didn't have enough money to stuff into his gullet, when he was screaming and moaning saying that he wanted Democrats to shut up about that millionaire billionaire talk. Shut up about that talk. He says, I was fucking angry. He said effing. He said effing. Because he was dignified when he was snarling maniac. That's a mental illness. That guy has all the money in the world. All the money anybody could ever want. And the only thing he's saying is, I told them to shut up about this class stuff. Keep your mouth shut about this class stuff. You know who has a phone number to Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi? That guy. You calling your congressman doesn't matter. They don't listen. She is absolutely right. They don't listen to you. And I've made this point before. You have dollars or you have pitchforks. You have dollars or pitchforks. I'm going to let her keep going because I love what's coming out in this. So let's keep going.
Crazy. Crazy. So, really, and to you fuckers out there, you guys in Congress, you senators, you friggin' mainstream media people, you guys out there who literally exist to propagandize to the American citizens so you can serve at the feet of these people. Yeah, you, right here. You think that forever people are going to do this because you've pushed and you've pushed and you've pushed and you keep taking. You keep taking and you keep taking and you keep taking and we don't do anything. Of course they keep taking. What do? Nothing. We pretend fake elections are real. We argue with each other endlessly over impotent front puppets who don't create the policy. That's what we do. They play us for fools because we act like fools. How long does this have to go on? Really, how long does this have to go on? There are how many of us? I think there's 299.99 million to them. But what do? Well, we have to go along with them stealing all of our money for war and reverse Robin Hood policies and the absolute insanity of the top elites because there's nothing we can do. What? People ask me, what do? We don't put up with it anymore.
Again, I just want to interject. Yeah, she's right. She is absolutely right. It's breathtakingly lovely to watch and to hear. It really is. All of this stuff is perceptual, man. Do you remember? Well, you may not remember it, of course, because you weren't there. 1,000 years ago, I think it was about 1,000 years ago. British history goes back long time. It's fucking amazing when you're looking back at what these things, how this stuff started. The king and parliament. Eventually, there's a king, there's a parliament, etc., etc. But the king goes to war with parliament in this kind of power grab. These guys are going after one another. One person wants to. It's like one of these entities is saying, "Who's going to run the government? You or us?" Parliament wins. Parliament wins, meaning the army that the parliament paid for, bought up, and all this other stuff won. The king was forced to submission, and even though the king was forced to submission, parliament still allowed him to be king, because from parliament's standpoint, well, you need a king. You don't have a choice but to have a king. I mean, kings are appointed by God. Parliament has nothing to do with that. He just lost a war. He literally just lost a war, and parliament is still like, well, we still need a king. We still need a king, even if it's a figure eight. We still need a king. The thing that she's making this point of, the elites thing, you understand that cash is not real. People act as if it's real. It's real within the game space itself, meaning this game, this perceptual illusion that people, we function with. It's real in that sense, but in a larger context, it's not real. Status, it's not real. None of these things are real. All of these things are just properties of the game space itself. This thing of, why do you allow people to take all of these resources and understand resources are real? I've always made this point. Human beings and the environment are real. Everything else are these kind of perceptual things that people gravitate around. But in this case, she has a damn good point. Your access to goods and resources, and allowing those goods and resources to be used for the sake of the military. So, $21 trillion in debt. Infrastructure, gutted. Badly behind. I mean, we have bridges that are literally on the brink of disaster. Half the country, poverty wage. And we're bombing one country after the next. We're using massive amounts of money for military. In 2015, the Pentagon spent $5 trillion, like $5.6 trillion on some kind of, that they couldn't account for, like these costs and expenses they couldn't account for. They just put $86 billion or $80 billion extra on an already bloated military budget, hunting down peoples in caves. Our military is in 70% of the countries on this planet. We're spending our money in blood and treasure, just dumping money down the gullet of a weapons industry, killing people abroad, while the rest of the things that take place in this country, it suffers for it. But understand, we are creating massive misery abroad. And again, she has another damn good point. This thing of, this was our creation. Like, we sometimes act like the United States government is this Frankenstein that's gotten out and just starts destroying the countryside from one country to the next. And we act like we have no power at all over that particular Frankenstein. All of these things are choice. Like, from day to day, moment to moment, those things are choice. The moment that a group of people, enough group of people say, okay, we're sick of this, things change. Right now, there's this thing of this indebtedness, this insecurity that's propagated by the system itself that pushes people to stay within the confines of the system. You're working 50 hours a week, you have some kid to raise, you have maybe in a relationship, this particular person is not working, this person was downgraded once he lost his job and couldn't find another job in his career. You are under stress. You are consistently under pressure. And you have responsibilities that you need to take care of. You don't have time to strike. Are you paying attention to the larger world when you have a huge amount of shit that's on your plate as is? And are you making the connection that the politics, the things that take place away from you, is the thing that's adversely affecting you? The media in this country, yeah, she's right. They've propagandized the public in a particular way, but let's not let those parties off easy, because ultimately those parties were willing to be bought and corrupted. The governmental apparatus is still there. It's there. It hasn't gone anywhere. It is just not being used in your interest. The power structure that's behind that is the thing that's using it. And that's not all that shadowy. It's the people who are putting money in their pockets. This is the interest we want you to toe. Here's the cash. If you want to make your campaign, if you want to win the campaign, when you finally get out of politics, all of these things, you're going to have a decent and an awesome fucking life if you toe the line we want you to toe when you're in that government. And that's what they do. One to the next. Because at the end of the day, status, maximizing your profit is a property and an aspect of the system itself. The corruption is not a bug. Corruption is not a bug. If you put software in this system that says maximizing your profit is the thing to do, and everything function at this idea of markets and profit and status and all this other stuff, then people are going to go in that line. Integrity doesn't apply. Integrity doesn't apply. Yeah, integrity doesn't apply. I'm going to let her keep her going on with this because I like this. Yeah, I think she's right. I think she's absolutely right. I wouldn't go so far as to say that the system, government, like, look, I think the apparatus is there. The apparatus is not being used. You have dollars or pitchforks. You have one or the other. That's what it boils down to. They get away with stuff because you allow them to get away with stuff. And at the same token, you can't necessarily all that blame the public because the public is in a situation of poverty and desperation. Meaning the public is always either on a hamster wheel where they don't necessarily have time to look at these issues and get out and do anything about these issues from a physical way, putting your body on the line. It's like, are you going to put your body on the line if you have $50,000 in student debt? I mean, it maybe depends. The indebtedness, the vulnerability, those things are properties of the system itself that assist the system in the way it goes. And I don't mean system in this kind of esoteric way. I mean the capitalistic system, the programming of the system. It's maximizing your profit, but at the same token, the insecurities and the vulnerabilities disallow people from getting involved into any real political way that can adversely affect the system itself. It's almost as if the indebtedness assists in the prosecution of the system. Let her keep going.
We don't pretend that we're compromising. I'm going to compromise. You're going to take all of our money to spend it and kill innocent people on lies, and I'm compromising. That's a better alternative. What the hell is wrong with us? What the hell is wrong with us? You know, people are like, Debbie, talk about net neutrality. Tell everybody to go fight for net neutrality. You want to fight for net neutrality? Go and stand by the millions in front of the White House and scream with these in your hand. That's how you fight for net neutrality. There is no calling up. There is no emails. It's over. This venue is going to be gone very, very soon. Facebook is censoring left and right. The internet. And, it's like, I think people should call, because I think it's a good exercise in terms of being educated, to go through the process, because it took me calling, 9,000 times and never having my representatives listen to me or have anything change or have this good cop, bad cop game perpetrated against me, that I finally figured out that it's a scam. It's a game. It's a way to keep us controlled. And the reason it's gone so far, and they don't listen to the people, and nobody wants the internet taken away. Nobody wants the internet taken away. Majority of people, Republicans and Democrats, don't want more wealth going to the top. That's what they're passing right before Christmas, because they always pass the worst legislation right before Christmas when nobody's looking, because that's what cowards do. They operate in the dark. And they're pushing and pushing and pushing. And they know that the American people are getting ready for this, because they only can push us so far into so much economic collapse, into so much despair, into so much theft of our resources. It's like the Grinch. It's like the Grinch who stole Christmas, and he goes and he steals all the Who's stuff, but he doesn't learn, and then he goes back the next night and expects to steal more, and there's nothing left to take. And then
By the way, Occupy Wall Street and the Tea Party was a reaction to this. Like, it was the left wing and the right wings, I guess you could say the effect on the left wing and right wing, how the way that they processed the experience of Wall Street, the financial collapse, and everything else. The Tea Party sprung up in that sense from the right. Personally, I think they were useful idiots, but whatever, Tea Party. But on the left, something a little bit more interesting came up. Occupy Wall Street. Unfortunately, Occupy Wall Street were lefties, and they were like herding cats, and they let their ideals get in the way of actually getting shit done. And they were eventually dispersed, and they were eventually destroyed without ever really making a real political impact, per se. NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, that Obama updated, allowed for them to use United States troops on home soil, in this country, including ferreting Americans away that they consider to be terrorists into black sites. Chris Hedges sued in order to hold up this legislation. The judge, he actually won the case, but the judge allowed, I guess, a passage or something else until they had to retry, because they were already using the provisions in the NDAA, meaning they may already have Americans in black sites. I suspect that part of the reason that they used the NDAA was because of Occupy Wall Street. That it was, to some degree, a government is scared to shit out the government. Oh my God, these people are finally rising up. And the NDAA was a way of giving the government mechanisms of control that would allow them to press or suppress that particular action. They can call all those people terrorists. They can have all those people locked away. Not to mention the militarization of the police force is another way to suppress dissent in this way. Obama had a wing in the White House that would go after investigative journalists. Again, another way to suppress dissent. The internet is just one of the last ways that they're going to destroy free speech. Let's keep going. She's right.
And the Who's are ready. No, people are like, I love your passion, it's worthless. That is the attitude that kills us. Can you imagine if everybody felt this way and refused to go along with the game, refused to show up to the live political rallies, refused to tune in?
Again, I agree. Look, my argument has always been this stuff is just perceptual. There is no thing that sits anywhere that's government. Those things are just buildings. The people themselves, for the most part, construct the world that they live in. We make a choice. Everybody agrees that this is what it is. The moment that people stop agreeing, it turns into something else. If people stop supporting the parties, You have one faction of the left who's already at this point of being pissed off. You have some who are in dim exit. You have some who are dim enter. And the dim enter group is odd and strange to me. It's odd and strange. The Democratic Party outright cheated your candidate. They've been purging other candidates. I mean, cheated in broad daylight. It hit the guy in the knees in front of everybody. I mean, it's like, what else does it take? It's like, we can cheat on you, we can spit on you, we can throw you down the stairs, we can use the bathroom, not wash our hands, and rub it on your face. At the end of the day, after all this, all said and done, doesn't matter how much to get across, they don't want you, they don't like you, you're still there. Like a bad penny. It's amazing. Yeah, I don't know what it takes at that point. I don't know what else they can do. It's the person that's still there. It's still there. It's like the lonely person who just believes that no one else will want them, so they just stay with this horrible, disgusting figure, and allows that figure to be whatever that figure wants to be, because it always is going to be there. Yeah, I agree with her, man. I mean, granted, I think she's being more. I think she's making this point of advocate from the political process as a whole entirely. I think the government apparatus is still there. I think you need people to make that work. I think you need pitchforks. I've said before, man, you need dollars or pitchforks. You need a lot of pitchforks. I've made this case before. 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million people lined up in the front of the White House, either for the FCC thing or for anything else. That's how you get change. That's how you get change. Sending emails and tweets and putting in move on campaigns, not so much. Let's keep going.
Is taking the House, and there's, I think, $50,000 left in debt left over. And they don't do this in other nations. They don't do this in other nations. And so these hardworking people, my uncle a veteran, my aunt a lifelong hairdresser, they worked until they're like 75, each of them, are struggling, and they're poor. And this is happening by the millions all over the country because we have a private enslavement insurance scam. A private enslavement insurance scam that everybody's writing me right now. Everybody's saying, Debbie, my premiums went up $100. My premiums went up $400. My premiums went up. David just bought his insurance. $800 for catastrophic coverage that doesn't kick in. $800 a month for catastrophic coverage that does not kick in until after $3,000 in copay. So you don't use the insurance. They make it so it's so expensive to use the insurance that unless you have a serious injury, you're not going to use the insurance. And what did we see for the fight what masqueraded as a fight for healthcare for American people? People following Bernie Sanders around, who lied to cover up the fraud of the Democrats.
Before I was telling my wife about this video, and I was like, in the same way, anytime you watch an HA video, HA is going to get to Hillary Clinton. It doesn't matter what it is. HA could be talking about an asteroid that's going to hit the planet Jupiter, and at some point Hillary Clinton is going to come over to it. Same progressive, Bernie Sanders. It's like I know Sanders is going to pop up. So, there he is. Look, what she said about healthcare, man. You ask the Democratic Party, you say, what do you stand for and what do you represent? Like, what are the things that you believe in? Show me what you believe in. Show me what you as a party believe in. And you give me Obamacare. That's not a winner, man. That's not a winner. I mean, ultimately, you left these vultures, these parasites, into a healthcare system where the only thing they try to do is extract profit without adding anything to the system itself. Medicare can do their job for nowhere near the overhead. There's something sick about a healthcare insurance company paying their CEO like $1 million or whatever, how much ever these guys are going to make. And every broken bone, cancer, all of those things, for the most part, are going into that guy's salary. It's like they're preying on people's illnesses and sickness. It's disgusting. And a rational society shouldn't have those things to be a part of the system. And the idea that Obama says we're going to protect the markets. We're going to protect the markets. What about people? What about people? Like, which one actually matters? Between the two, I've said it before, I'll say it again. If you want to know what a particular party represents, you look at what they've come out in regards to policy. They came out with Obamacare, where you still have these predatory vultures, and you still leave 20 some odd million people off the healthcare rolls. Still can't afford it. And mind you, just because you have healthcare doesn't necessarily mean you won't get co-paid to death. When I was younger, and my mom, single parent, had to end up taking me to the hospital over and over and over and over and over again. Because if you have some kind of illness, you may have to go over and over and over and over again. And those co-pays will eat you alive. Those co-pays will eat you alive. And that's not talking about the bill itself. Like, I'm making this point that if anybody is in a situation where they have to persistently use healthcare, they're going to get eaten alive by those bills. It's going to get eaten alive, and let alone being injured. Oh, man. I've had multiple friends of mine. So one of the guys I used to work with, he messed his leg up playing football. And he had a deductible of several $1,000s. So the health insurance company wasn't going to pay squat until he hit that particular deductible for that particular emergency injury. Let alone the bills for the copays, let alone the specialists, let alone the bill for the surgery, all the stuff that they had to pay for. The woman my nurse at at the facility I go to, same thing. Well, she didn't break her leg, but she had issues with her arm, and she was talking about the copay that she had to pay after she broke her arm. Yeah, I understand Obamacare is better than what was there before. I'm just making this point that if you're asking, what do you represent? And Tom Perez is screaming about his values, and he's saying, we represent it. These are our values. And your values still allow 20-some million people to be left off the healthcare rolls. It still allowed these vultures to be a part of the system, to prey on the weak. It still allowed drug companies to rape the public blind in regards to the costs of the drugs that these people we pay in comparison to the rest of the world. If you say, what do you represent? And you say, these are our values. And your values end up with being Obamacare. That tells me a lot about your values. And I don't think it's the message that you're trying to send. And of course, Republicans are going to be more rabid and more disgusting. But that doesn't necessarily mean you let the other party get a pass. Let's keep going. That's right. We're going into Sanders. Let her speak her piece.
Democratic Party, which massively cheated, and it was in collusion with the deep state. So that guy goes around and blames Russia for internal crimes of cheating the election, basically so that you can't get anybody in who advocates for these policies. Good luck electing him in 2018, guys. You have fun with that. And what did we have for a health insurance fight? What did we have? We had people, we need to save Romney care. We're going to fight the evil Republicans, which the Affordable Care Act, the Orwellian Affordable Care Act, is a Republican policy originally developed by the Heritage Foundation and passed in Massachusetts, my home state, under Mitt Romney. And people are fighting. The left are fighting to preserve the Republican policy, which is a private insurance scam, so that we can hold on by our fingernails for another 10 years while they completely up the premiums, reduce the coverage, and we have $5,000 to $10,000 per family on average stolen from us every year. Can you imagine if somebody came in and stole $5,000 out of your house, what people would do? If people came in and broke into their bank account and stole that kind of money? That is what is happening every friggin' month. And we're like, let's fight to keep it. We are nuts. We are nuts. And we think that we have to compromise because that's all they'll give us. Newsflash. They are supposed to work for us. They are supposed to work for us, and the only reason they get away with this is because we let them. Because we keep we revere politicians who will go around and sell that policy. You know why Sanders toured? He wasn't touring for single payer. He was touring to shore up support for your enslavement through the private insurance scam that he sold all over the media. Do you really don't think that the Democratic Party hires or the corporate media features what threatens the owners? Do you? Do you think they're featuring Sanders because he threatens them? Are you nuts? Are you nuts? Apparently we are. You're being played for fools. We're all being played for fools. And then it's like, we're going to talk about compromise. It's all wholesale sellout. And it doesn't matter, because for decades, no matter who we get in, even good people, it gets worse and worse and worse, because the power isn't being wielded by the politicians or the people. The power is wielded by this mob, this deep state mob of psychopaths that only stays in power because they have developed the largest surveillance system in the history of the world. And they now have remote ways to kill people through drones. They are a blackmail organization, and blackmail is the tactic of the mob. Nobody wants this shit. Stop fighting between Republicans and Democrats. Stop fighting on identity politics. Stop it all. We are part of the problem when we do that. We are the problem, and we are complicit enablers. And anybody who says, just say enough is enough and stand against it, everybody's like, you want a pony, Debbie. Oh yeah, I want a pony. I want a pony because I don't want the vast majority of our treasury usurped in wars of choice to go around killing people and stealing from people around the world. And let's remember, it's coming home, isn't it? Isn't it? Because when you codependently enable a government that will steal and thieve and murder and maim and manufacture refugees and burn children alive with chemicals, and they'll take everything, eventually it comes home. And you know what we're seeing right now? It's coming home. It's coming home, and we don't like it. We don't like having what's been done to the rest of the world come home and actually affect us. But you know what? It needs to happen, because something needs to wake the people up. I'm not having discussions talking about Bernie Sanders or Tulsi Gabbard or any of that. It's stupid. It's stupid. This system is a lie. The media is a lie. They manufacture propaganda. We are so far gone. And people have got to start acknowledging the reality we are in, because only when that happens will this happen. And people have got to find their courage, and they have got to find their voice, because we have a couple of options right now. We got two options. We can keep going along to get along because we're too scared to speak up and try to get the crumbs and be like, okay, I'll just bend and pretzel myself as things get worse and worse, and I'll continue to operate under the delusion that there's going to be some political savior riding in on a white horse, and I'll twist it so much that we are going to be in a permanent state of serfdom as these lunatics play this mass game of Risk and threaten to blow up the entire world playing with their new technological weapons and toys, and think that we're getting some kind of temporary form of safety because we're being quiet and they won't look at us. But the fact is, this is a government that has turned against its own people. That is what we are dealing with. It's not Trump. It's not Clinton. It's not the Democrats. It's not the Republicans. It is a very, very powerful group of cowardly lunatics who operate in the shadows, that never have to face an election and never have to face anything. They have stolen it all with their money and their wealth. And we cow to it. And we cow to it by bending to the lie.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I look. I usually think that stuff is simpler than. I don't like making it more esoteric, but I fundamentally agree with you, man. I agree. It is cash that runs through the system. I mean, ultimately, you have a political system and you have this economic system that's somewhat superimposed on it, and like any other tool, like, you know, you have this model. It's like, no one asks the point. they'll ask the question of what is the actual point of the economic system, and is the point of the economic system purely to make people rich? That just seems like a weird thing. Like, it's one thing if you say the economic system is used to get goods and resources to people who need it, leveraging this thing of scarcity, but that's not the way we use economics in this country, and that's not necessarily the way it works out in practice. You have people with massive amounts of money who reach their fingers into the political process to accrue more money. At our expense. Yeah, man, Debbie's right. Debbie's fucking right. Debbie's absolutely right. Oh, wow. Like I said, I love to see your work, man. Like, when it's something I agree with, I love to see your work. Bashing Sanders, I expect the bashing Sanders. Good luck for 2020. I think that is right. That is a good luck for 2020, let's see what the Unity Commission finds out. Fair enough. Even talking about politics at this point, I gotta be honest, I am extraordinarily cynical about politics. She said she got there when she called her senator and she realized it wasn't working, and I was like, I didn't even get to the point of calling my senator. I don't know the last time there's been a situation where two people, opposing parties, one person goes down to the well of the Senate, makes a speech. Somebody else goes down to the well of the Senate, makes a speech. The other guy comes back and says, you know what, I didn't think about that. You're absolutely right. I've changed my vote. That never happens. Like, it's these guys, their opinion in this is already built in to some degree. They already know what they're going to do. What you're asking them, it's not going to matter unless they think that you have massive amounts of numbers where you can rip them out that seat if they go in a particular direction. You have to scare the shit out of them. That's the only way you get anything done. You have dollars or you have pitchforks. You have one or the other. If you don't have dollars, you need to have a ton of people behind you. I personally think the political system is still there. No, I don't think it's being served because I think all these people are bought and paid for. I think they're bought and paid for. So yeah, I agree with her, man. Debbie's fucking awesome. Debbie's absolutely fucking awesome. Let's see. I feel like we're all stuck in a bystander effect, like we're all just standing around waiting for somebody else to do something. It's because you've been individualized. Like, in our society, capitalistic society, this idea of rugged individualism and all this other stuff, we focus on the stuff purely from the standpoint of the individual. I. If I do X, would somebody else do X too? I would do this if somebody else was doing this. Yeah, but that requires you knowing that somebody else is going to do it. And the whole thing with the jobs of the bystander effect also. People have jobs. Like, if you have 50 hours a week spent doing your job, and you have a kid, and you may have a husband, and you may have other responsibilities, at which point do you have the time to go to a rally? And can you afford getting arrested by putting your body on the line for something that's important to you? Or for that matter, can you afford going to a protest? Can you afford going to a march? Can you afford doing anything that will put you in the limelight of potentially either losing your job or getting arrested? I mean, or getting arrested and losing your job in that sense. Or for that matter, the time itself to do those things. You're stuck into this individuated unit of sorts, even though you're functioning in a larger society. So yeah, I understand. I totally understand. That's difficult to break in America because America is so focused on this idea of the individual. But they're focused on the idea of the individual for that very specific reason. Lori Ald didn't do it. No one is stopping you. BB Hammer, Jeremy Chase, you're wrong. New ISPs would be allowed with increasing competition with new companies. You like net neutrality now with slow, expensive service and increasing censorship. Yes, I don't want them fucking around with net neutrality. They need to leave the internet the way it is. Terry J, I agree. Agadale, I didn't see what Dale Chomsky. The key is organizing. We've been convinced to thinking individually. It has to be a we. If we're atomized, we always fail. Agreed. As an individual, you are mentally weak. As a group, yeah, you need numbers. Like, if people start focusing on this thing from a more social standpoint, this idea of us as opposed to I, things would change. Things would change. I gotta be honest, I'm always shocked by what we are okay with. Like, at one point, some of the stuff that takes place, if it had taken place, let's say 40, 50 years ago, people would have been put in prison. Like, it just wouldn't be allowed. And so you have these attitudes that become a little bit more over the top. So yes, these guys are going to take open bribes. Yes, Hillary Clinton can make $1 billion and it goes in. Yes, you can have crimes come out in WikiLeaks that nobody pays attention to because it came out through WikiLeaks. It's one thing after the next. Yes, you can cheat one of the candidates in the Democratic Party. No consequence. It's maddening. It's maddening. People will complain about the environment. People will complain about Wall Street. All of these things are related to one thing. All of those groups should come together as one fist. It should not be atomized. I agree. Brahm SL1, IG Pi is pissed off because his family is starting to be threatened. That's a good start. That is a good start. Yes, that's a good start. That's a good day. That's a good day. Has Sane progressive been silenced by the insane YouTube Jim Hayden? So it's, from what I understand, she's on Facebook, but she also puts a video, I think it's called BitChute or something like that. But she hasn't been doing YouTube much. She hasn't been doing YouTube much. Let's see. Gardome, again, in this environment, the only real option is dollars, strikes, disinvestment, etc. I feel you. Jamal, you have a propagandist in your feed. Do I now? Do I? Let's see, who is it? Oh, who's the propagandist? Who's propagandist? Dax Jacobs and BB Hammer. Nothing stopping new ISPs from starting up. You're now, except Comcast cut up the fucking fiber cables when someone tried to start competing ISPs. I haven't seen that propagandist yet. I'm sure it'll pop up. Jim Hayden. They hate Debbie more than even Seth Rich. J. Scott, lead the march, Debbie. Robert Pukere, get him, girlfriend. Yeah, I've said before, she's a force of nature. D. Martin, Debbie has a pitchfork, but JT has a little plastic doll. That's Worf. That's my warrior doll. That's Worf. Red Economics. Yes! Preach! Cheeky Rogue. Damn, she got her pitchfork. You go, girl. You go, girl, indeed. Vermont Bread Smith. Debbie's hot. Yeah, I like her. I like watching her do her thing. Robert Pukere, the mother-loving Grinch. Whoa. Get him, Debs. Yeah, she went to the Whoville. Obama fucking signed it some constitutional zero. Cheeky Rogue, I don't know what that means. Kamshari Kate, you're frightening me. What did Dale Chomsky say? A poor man will slit your belly to eat what you've already eaten. That line has already sent shivers down my spine because it's true. A poor man will slit your belly to eat what you've already eaten. That line always gives me shivers because it's true. Yeah. What was the guy, the millionaire, who said, I could pay half of the poor to murder the other half of the poor? You look at something like what was going on in Spain, or hell, even here, they would pay cops to beat the shit out of protesters. It's amazing. It's like, we're going to use your tax dollars to beat the shit out of you. Yeah, you're right. That's grim way to say it, Dale, but yeah, you're right. Trump now says that he did not want the TPP to be a multilateral deal, so he's doing it bilateral with each country. Same difference. Tabitha, I'm going to have to look that up. If that's true, his base is going to go to zero. His base is going to go to zero. They're going to be pissed. They're going to be pissed. They're going to be absolutely pissed. Let's see. Tabitha Enriquez fooled all of his supporters and some progressives. Well, I wasn't going to vote for Hillary Clinton either way. So that wasn't the end-all be-all for me in regards to why I voted for Jill Stein. But did he fool Trump supporters? Oh, yes. And I have to be honest, I would be shocked if... Yeah, I would be shocked. Yeah, I would be shocked if he did that. Like, it's one thing to lie, but to lie on something that big is fucking amazing. And whether he's signing it bilaterally or, you know, as a whole, doesn't matter. He's still signing it. He's still signing it. So, yeah, I have to look that one up. Obama turns cop loose on the Occupy. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He worked with the government, so with the different states. So the FBI worked with the states to beat down the Occupy Wall Street movement. Never give up your guns, America. Skip rock. Jamal still thinks about parties. How cute. Jay Scott. Well, I do think about politics, yeah. It's a political channel. Because I do think the political apparatus is still there. Like, I am not of this mindset that the thing is not there. I just think the thing is held up by crooks. It's like saying the bus driver is crooked and corrupt. Okay. The bus driver is crooked and corrupt. You need some apparatus to be able to change your system. Meaning, my issue with this is systemic. I think all of this is systemic. It's not that Hillary Clinton is, the most corrupt person on the planet. She may be, but you put anybody in that slot, the person will be that corrupt. So you need some edifice. You need something to be able to change the way the system is, change the way the system operates. So do I still think in parties? Yeah, I still think in parties. I think you need to be able to, you're going to have to take it with something. For that, you need a massive amount of people. I think from the standpoint of peoples and parties, if you look at my old videos, I used to make this argument that the whole Justice Democrats thing is a fool's errand. I loved it when it first came out, but at a certain point I'm like, well, wait a minute, you guys are a news agency. And I would stress the point of your money is better spent trying to occupy all of these people or raise up all these people who are pissed off and angry, and pull these people into the process of staring and screaming and swearing at the various politicians. I think you need numbers. I think you need numbers. It's not about parties, Jamal. It's about oligarchs. Yeah, you misunderstand me, then. You misunderstand me. Your system itself has been, for the most part, preyed upon and procured by your predatory economic system. I don't think of these guys in parties and everything else. You must understand, it's not a direct one-way street from oligarchs to politicians. It does go the other way. Your government does have the power to regulate the other side of that equation. Your government just chooses not to. It takes the cash and it does what it needs to do. There were times in American history where corruption was at the top of the list of things to get done. So it's not completely and outside the realm of possibility that this kind of corruption campaign can start. But no, I'm perfectly aware that the issue with this is cash. The issue with this is cash. I've made that argument more than once. The different classes of net neutrality, they want to get rid of the bad stuff that we don't want. Okay. Garnum Jeremy, it's about consolidated interests of various sorts. Who's organizing the pitchfork protests? That's a good question, Terry. That's a damn good question. I just have a regular fork. I hope that will suffice. James Wilkin, dark web all the way. Who controls the parties? It's not about the parties. Dude, you're becoming a broken record on that one. If anybody who's watched my videos for a while, I've kind of made this point that the issue with this is the system itself. It's not an individual, man. It's not like this person is massively corrupt, and so if you get this person out, then the world is butterflies and rainbows. It's the system itself. At some point, somebody has to touch the lever of the system itself. Otherwise, you're going to continue to get corruption. You're going to continue to get people buying your politicians. All that stuff. Red Economics is getting Wolverine claws. Very nice. Jamal had to pause. That triggered. Yeah. Agreed. I hope Jamal's not going to defend Bernie now. BB Hammer. No, I didn't defend Bernie. People aren't going to do anything because they're all on the internet or watching cable TV. JJ Wolf. Yes and no. Yeah. Fair enough. Garno, family is blameless. Brahm, I would not engage in retaliation for the sake of doing so. Part of having a successful revolution is maintaining ethics. I'm unaware of revolutions that maintain their ethics. Fair enough. Debbie is a scorned woman when it comes to Bernie Sanders. Yes, she is. She is a force of nature. She comes by it honestly. Yeah, that too. I always question any hysteria right now that's DNC driven, like net neutrality. Yeah, but I don't want those ISPs screwing around with the internet like that. Particularly when you have the overwhelming majority of the country don't want it. They don't want it. Let's see. Debbie mirrors my sense of outrage. I'm glad someone out there is pissed off as I am. Brahm SL1. Yes, agreed. Civil disobedience. Pitchforks and ponies. Someone, shit, I've been missing this. Go Debbie. Yeah, go Debbie indeed. She's fucking awesome. Preach. Preach. Who the fuck is Debbie talking to? The people who already know all of the shit she's saying. That may be true, but I would say that people go to sermons every Sunday and the preacher's saying the same goddamn thing. Not to mention they don't listen to the preacher the moment that they leave. So, that's what it is. I agree with her, man. I totally agree with her. The deep state stuff, I think that mystifies it. I think ultimately you have this system where people are being bribed. That's what it boils down to. You have a political system that's okay with corruption and is built in a way that allows themselves to be bribed and paid off. So if you allow yourself to be bribed, you don't have pitchforks out your window, you allow yourself to be bribed, who are you going to listen to? Who are you going to listen to? This guy's stuffing $1 million down my G-string. The public doesn't know, so I'm just going to lie to the public. And lie is what they do, and they lie magnificently. So you could have Rand Paul or Paul Ryan would get out and say, we're going to do this to reinvigorate the middle class. Meaning we're going to essentially raise the income tax or raise taxes on the middle class. Not to mention gut services and all this other stuff. Yeah, the band of liars. The bribed liars. That's what it boils down to. Eval79, I've been finding more middle ground with the right, with many on the left. That's the wild part, man. Like, yeah, I agree, man. I agree. To some degree, I agree. Jamal, in the movie Get Shorty, epic quote, there's always one guy at the top pulling the strings. I know this to be true, so it is a system created by one guy that runs it. I don't think anybody runs it. That's just it. I think that's where I part ways with some of the people who think this stuff. I don't think you need somebody to run it. I think you have this system that's built on cash. And you have people who are out there trying to advantage themselves magnificently with cash. It's a market-driven system. Everybody else, for the most part, becomes robots in that system. And you have your own private police force or army to protect your 1% stuff. I don't think you need somebody pulling the strings. Whoever's at the top, the people at the top, they have the cash. That's what it boils down to. If you have cash, you control it. This is just human nature following their greedy natures. MT. I don't think it's human nature. I think it's human nature in this system. There's a difference in those things. Like if I say, what do human beings look like if they're on a planet Vulcan? Well, if Vulcan has the things that those people need and they're not necessarily out there begging for resources, if there's no poverty, if there's no war, if there's no crime, I would wager that you would say human nature would be something completely different. Human nature is water in a glass. It fits whatever the glass you're putting that human nature in. You can't talk about human nature inextricable from the society itself. Human nature in this society, yeah, is this way. Human nature in a pre-capitalist society may be completely different. So, in Vulcan. Let's not take Vulcan. Let's say you're in ancient Japan. Let's say you're in Native American civilizations just before Columbus hit. They didn't have this stuff. Like these things, like this idea of possession and everything else. They didn't have that idea of possession. Anything you want, they would give it to you. The tribe itself was this kind of open thing. You can look at Columbus's notes as he's describing what the tribe was like before they got there. So yeah, we're glass and we're water in a glass. Keith Williams, the system rewards greed, so greedy people rise to the top. Keith Williams, yes. Yeah. You have the system that has an incentive towards greed. You do this, you get more profit. That more profit gives you more access to resources. Oh, I want more access to resources. Nobody wants to be hungry and poor. The glass determines the shape of the water, but given enough time and the right conditions, the water can erode the glass. I think you know my point, Cardinal. I think you know my point. Greedy people rise to the top because they get paid by people in real control. James Scott. Yes Well, yeah, James, but you're just repeating what he's saying. You're just adding another layer to it. Same thing applies. Capitalism created this shit. It's been fucking us since it laid that goddamn money. Right. Land and money have value. Yeah, money isn't real. Lorms, let's see. Bob Ramirez. Actually, Native Americans had plenty of war and predation. Someone relies on Disney as a historical reference, I guess. Bob Ramirez. No, Bob. If you look at Columbus's notes, I didn't say war. I didn't say that. What I said was they didn't have this concept of money in this way that we do. So when Columbus gets here, you look at his notes, People History of the United States, where they talk about the civilization for the most part. He gave this description of what their civilization was like. Mind you, it was outside perspective, but he gave this idea of what their civilization was like. Columbus and People's History was nowhere near Disney. That shit was fucking grisly. And the greed concentrates at the top because they eat their own. John Barbarella, yes, greed. Freeway overpasses tons of exposure during rush hour. Timbuktu. Karji, found your channel and so glad I did. So much better than late night TV. Great insight. Aw, thank you, Kara. Brahms SL. Native Americans had conflict. Nobody said they didn't have conflict. They were not based on the bullshit that's ours. Totally different animal. Brahms SL1. Yes, that's my point. Being progressive is to fight beyond our base natures. MT, it is not our base natures. You don't know what your base nature is. How do you know what your base nature is? Who are you outside of the things that have influenced you? I mean, you're in a society that has certain incentives and goals and everything else. What part of that is you? What part of that is you? You've soaked in all of this stuff. Implicit and explicit experiences. Meaning your society puts a certain pressure on you to behave a certain way, but your parents, your family, all of those things also put explicit pressure on you to act a particular way, not to mention your experiences. What part of that is human nature? What part of that is you? That's what I'm getting at. How do you know who you are outside of the context of this society? And I'm saying you don't. I'm saying you don't. Jinho Choi. Lorms, there's no abuse, simply the absence of money in politics since there is no cash collections to pay to get out of vote drives. Yeah, money should not be a part of politics at all. This idea that somebody can buy a politician is amazing to me. It's fucking amazing. Yeah, that's fucking amazing to me. The Viking, Leif Erikson, was the first European to see Native Americans 500 years before Columbus. Teray 88. J. Scott Garden, I agree. Jamal is on the way up. On the way up to what? Lorms, Jinho Choi, it seems that cash collections are from people who choose to vote by not voting. It seems the cash collections are. I missed that part. Kashwarmi Kate, you have to meditate an effing long time just to know who you are before the chip was installed. Yeah, agreed. Yeah, agreed. Cheeky Rogue, Jamal equals no drama, just thoughtfulness. Oh, thank you, Cheeky Rogue. No millionaires allowed in politics. Oh, that would be fucking beautiful. Keith Williams, CEOs, politicians, even rich ones are all servants of the oligarchs. Agreed. It's hard to grasp that someone worth $100 million can be looked down upon as the help because oligarchs live in the shadows. You know, what's funny, that one of the studies showed that people, there's a social stress, if that makes sense. Like, people die younger depending on their economic class. So everybody below Bill Gates, you can have somebody with $100 million that is still affected by the social stress. It's fucking amazing. It's fucking amazing. It's almost like inequities. Inequities bite into the human being. It's almost like it's just not something that should exist in our societies. Jinho Choi, compulsory voting gets money out of politics. Australians simply turn up to vote. That would be nice. Dax Jacobson, people trust rich people. How can that be? California elected Terminator as a governor. Yeah, if I remember though, that was on the Enron scandal. Like, it was all sorts of weird stuff that went on in California. Those people were looking for something fundamentally different. Dax Jacobson, Trump was not very good at business. No, he wasn't good at business. He was a failure. Civil disobedience. Homeland Security just hijacked our elections. People won't even do their own taxes when they need to do short form. You want them to get off their asses and vote. This is nice. Free our national debt with the trillions offshore. Timbuktu. Yeah, you're right, by the way. There are trillions offshore. You know, they're trying to bribe the rich people to bring their money back in order to pay their actual taxes by giving them a tax holiday. It's like 5% off. Or you can just pay 5% income tax. That's great. I don't know anyone else who pays 5% income tax. All right, I'm going to end this. I am starving. Yeah, man, Debbie is a force of nature, man. And I love it when she does her thing. And it's something that you agree with. And you're like, yes, go, 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 go. It's like, do your thing, girl. Do your thing. Do your thing. I am putting her video at the bottom so you can see it on Facebook just in case, you know, I don't know how much people use Facebook in this sense. But just in case you guys wanted to see the entirety of the video, it's on Facebook. And I will leave it at that. All right, guys. Have a good night.